African women and girls are the most affected by stereotypes, which to a large extent encourages attitudes that limit women, such as gender violence, early marriage, and other forms of human rights abuses. In an interview with TVC's Moyo Thomas, Aisha Sese, international female journalist and gender equality advocate, suggests women need to keep speaking up in the face of intimidation.
Beyond celebrating achievements of women, the commemoration of International Women's Day is also to draw attention to the plight of women. In Nigeria, for example, gender violence and access to education still remains a major challenge, especially with the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic and worsening insecurity. In 2020, more women experienced gender violence and rape, especially by intimate partners, without adequate redress at the law courts. More women and girls have been kidnapped in the last 2 years than ever recorded. Over 100 Chibok girls still remain in captivity almost 7 years after.
You know, it's about having security measures and the apparatus in place to protect these spaces, which we know now are targets. You know, it's not like we don't know. We know schools are being targeted. So it's about creating the infrastructure that protects these places so that children can continue to go to school. There are already huge numbers of children in the north that don't complete school. It has one of the highest out-of-school populations in the world. This kind of insecurity and targeting of schools can only make it worse. It can only make it worse for women and girls who form a large part of that number of children who aren't in school, and which means things like maternal mortality, infant mortality will all increase, because it means that if they're not in school, they're likely to get married off early. If they're likely to get married off, they'll be pregnant early, and they're likely to die early.
Journalists, despite limited resources, must play a critical role in this area.
We have to keep pushing. You know, one of the things that I look at journalism on the continent and think is, you know, it's more important than ever. And I know that the forces of intimidation and limitation are greater than ever, but the work is so critical. And so we have to dig deep. We have to, in some cases, bootstrap.
This journalist, a UNFPA gender violence ambassador, says women need to collectively push against barriers to achieve an equal society. Nigeria ranked 118 in the 2013 Global Gender Gap Index. The Global Human Index also reveals that countries that pay attention to issues that affect women ranked higher in development. Moyo Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.